Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Indieheads podcast. I'm your host, Matty, aka Recon AG. On this week's podcast, we have...
AJ at Ann Moser. It's me.
I am Jake, or Jamaican Hopscotch, or at JWild55.
Oh, and also,
Your choice.
Also, I'm at Monrovian Prince on Twitter. I forgot to mention that, but you probably already know my
But you
Twitter.
already knew that.
You already knew
that.
Because I'm Twitter famous, you know. I'm the
Twitter,
most honest
I'm
man
blowing
on the
up.
timeline. But yeah, we haven't done a podcast in like 2 weeks. We did the album commentary a week ago, but no...
I haven't done the podcast in like several months.
Oh yeah, welcome back, Jake.
Oh shit.
Well, you're on the IRL cast that has not come out because fucking Alex can't figure out how to get us the footage.
Yeah,
Because we have Josiah's footage.
it's like probably for the best.
I might actually release what we have.
No, it'd be fun to watch.
See, I wish Alex could be the footage, but like I might at the end of the year just release what we have of it because I still have Josiah's footage and it's just waiting to go up pretty much. But like Alex,
That
I don't
flames.
fuck Apple for not letting my boy Alex get that footage. You know, maybe it's trying.
They just email it piece by piece.
Yeah. Anyways, been a bit since we've done a podcast. We have some cool things to talk about on the episode today. We're going to talk about our Cymbal contest winners. At the end of the episode, we'll announce who they are. We are going to talk about a very big indie album that dropped pretty recently, and also we're going to talk about just the shit, man. We're just going to talk about the shit. I don't know what that shit is, but we're going to find out right about now when we get into our news.
Oh, there's a lot of it.
So, the first shit we're talking about, which I mean that kind of like a figurative and into figurative senses. A bunch of bands going back in the studio. You got the XX, you got the Strokes, you got Alt J, you got all these bands that haven't been good since like in a while. They're all going back in the studio. This one was written. This news piece. The schedule this week was made by Zach. Which thank you, Zach, for doing the dirty work, so I didn't have to do it. But I don't care about
Legitimate
anything.
question: is Jamie XX back in the XX, or did he leave?
He never left.
I don't actually know because I don't really listen to the XX. So no.
It's probably for the best. And
maybe that'll be interesting.
Because their last time was like in 2012, I think. I want to say, and then Jamie went on to do In Color, which was one of the most overrated albums of last year, in my opinion. Which it's been a while since I've thought. Here's the thing: it's been a while since I've thought about that album. That's the weird thing, because it's like I remember when it came out, I was like, when I got that 9.3 on Pitchfork, I'm like, like seething at the mouth, like
It's
definitely
the best album to play like at a party with regular people.
Yeah, you get one of Young Thug's best verses ever.
That's true. That's like one of the few Young Thug verses I enjoy. Which, by the way, speaking of Young Thug, I don't have a transition for Young Thug because, actually no, I went to see Ray Sherman yesterday, and I had friends talking about Young Thug, and I kind of have to keep my hate for him kind of more low key, like I'm just not really that into him, but in reality it's like I really just do not like him at all. Like, I want to like him because I want to feel involved. Like, I want to feel like I'm a part of something. But also, I feel kind of a sense of, like, I feel like I'm a little special for being a Young Thug hater. It's like I feel different. It's nice.
You feel wrong is how you feel.
I don't feel wrong. Fuck you, AJ. Fuck you. All right?
Thug Hive.
Or the Booty Goons, as you guys call
it's
yourselves.
National Coming Out Day. I'm a booty goon. Sorry.
See, like, Young Thug's meme stock is great. I love Young Thug memes. I just don't like Young Thug,
That one Young Thug and Kanye like anime meme or whatever is one of the best things I've ever seen. Where it's like the 2x2 of like Young Thug being like anime is shit, and then Kanye's like, no, it's not, and Young Thug's like, you're right, I'm sorry.
No, that's Taylor Swift.
It's just.
That's Taylor Swift.
No, there's a version with Young Thug.
Oh, okay.
I will find
Taylor
it.
one. But yeah, there's not much about the like bands like, oh hey, XX, cool. They'll probably make another boring record. The Strokes, cool.
Yeah.
I like Thread of Joy, but I literally have not even listened to Is This It in Full, which if you want to attack me, go ahead and do it in the comment sections, and also make sure to like us on Facebook and on YouTube and in all the other places. A.
And then we have greater than sign Alt J.
Alt J.
A bad band.
Alt J, more like I alt to just take a nap.
Or like AJ. That's what my name stands for, by the way.
Nice.
I am
name
Alt
is Alt J.
There's not much to discuss. All these bands are boring, and they're probably gonna make boring albums. But hey, maybe they'll like.
I got a band. I got a band that's making an album. They already made an album that's gonna be pretty good.
What is
It's
it?
just another segue. So I saw Real Estate last night,
Ooh,
who I'm like mildly a fan of, and it was my friend's birthday, and he was like, he loves Real Estate, and I was like, let's go see Real Estate, and yeah, so I just kind of went in. I saw them in 2014, and like I think they're good. They make good music, but like they don't blow my mind or anything. But they came out and they were like, you probably wonder why we're touring, and I was like, yes, that's right. You haven't done anything in like 2 years, and they were like, well, we finished an album and it's coming out early next year, and we're gonna play a bunch of new songs off of it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And let me tell you what. The stuff I heard blew my mind. Like, it's going to be their best record by far.
Okay, so I was pretty like super lukewarm on Atlas. So would I like the new stuff that they're playing?
Yeah, so it was super like rockier. It had like a blues influence going on. It sounded sort of like early like before Current's Tame Impala stuff. Like I got serious lonerism vibes. It was just like heavy, and the guitars were playing against each other as opposed to just like layered on top of each other, and it just sounded all really, really good. I think that record's going to be super good. So that's a record.
I can get into that. Yeah,
the instrumentation was like crazy diverse. It was really cool.
Oh, speaking of concerts, I went to go see Ray Shremmerd last night in Little Yachty.
You said that.
Because we'll get. I guess we'll talk about recent concerts if you guys want to, instead of like, because there's not much news this week. Or at least in the past 2 weeks, there's not that much. That's worth discussion.
I've seen some shows. I've seen some shit.
So I guess I'll go to my show. I saw Ray Shremmerd and Little Yachty. Because seriously, I was gonna talk about like both these concerts and what we've been listening to, so I might as well just like get to it. But yeah, well, it was lit. It was really lit. But I have a more interesting story about like getting there. I guess was so basically like the plan was like I was going like I got tickets to the show from my college station because we now have a hip hop show, and we're now getting tickets from like one of the venues in St. Louis. And so got a free ticket. Hey, that's pretty cool. Have like a couple of friends in the station. We have a plan. Like, okay, we're gonna leave. So and so. Basically, the entire plan gets fucked, and I get a bad spot, and my friend gets to meet Little Yachty and fucks me over, and I'm stanced up. All right.
I'm stanced up.
I'm gonna knock his ass out, Playboy. Fucking. I'm like I could get more into it, but it'd be a bit too specific, and you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Basically, I got fucked over.
He told me to take a left at this street. I took a right. He fucked me over.
And also, I got high before the show, and being high while driving is, I'm usually actually pretty fine.
Dangerous.
It's dangerous, but I'm usually fine at it. It's just like it was like waiting in line to get inside the venue because the line was fucking huge to get inside the venue because it's Ray Shremmerd.
Because it's Ray Shremmerd.
And I'm like, oh my god, hopefully I get some adrenaline from this concert because otherwise, like, I'm going to pass out on the road. I do not want this to happen. But I was fine. I got home just fine. And yeah, Ray Shremmerd was lit. There was a couple of times where I think they even at one point they were like, yeah, we forgot the lyrics to like one of the songs they played. I can't remember what it was. But there was like multiple songs where they were like getting into it and then they just stopped playing the song because I think they would just forget the lyrics. Like I'm pretty sure, like I think they stopped. They did that during Up Like Trump because they made this big deal. Like I want you to say fuck Donald Trump, and they endorsed Hillary Clinton. So hey, if you're undecided in this election, like my main man Kim Bone, remember
I'm
Ray
with
Shremmerd.
Shrimp. I'm with Shrimp.
the Shrimp Life boys, Sway Lee, Slim Jimmy, they've endorsed Hillary Clinton. So think about that for a second, okay? Think about it. But we won't get.
Do you think you know more than Ray Shremmerd?
You don't. Ray Shremmerd, they are like, man. Have you seen their over under?
Oh yeah.
I don't even really listen to him, and their over under was hilarious.
Because they have no idea like what goth is, like they're just like they keep just saying gothic. It's like you guys, and like there was a couple goth girls at the Ray Shremmerd show. Like I saw a couple in line. I saw a couple like where I was like standing. Because Ray Shremmerd, they bring everyone together because they get the hipsters and they get the They get the mainstream audiences together. It's a beautiful fusion. It's wonderful. Same with Lil Yachty too. Lil Yachty can get a couple goth bitches. Let me tell you, that man's.
Lil Yachty's a perfect human being.
I love Yachty so much. I love him. He's a beautiful human being. He also had like an unlimited supply of water bottles that he was just like, spraying onto people. He just have someone like on stage, like, because he was like walking around like at the venue. There's like these little like ledges that usually you would sit your drinks on and whatnot. Because it doubles as like a sitting and a standing venue, but they got rid of like all the chairs and shit for the show. And so Yachty's just like walking around like on these ledges, like on like one of the rows, and he's just like, he's rapping and then just like getting handed water bottles and just pouring them on people. It was fantastic. I love that show. But yeah, that's about it. Sherm Life 2. I need to listen to Sherm Life 2 more because I've only listened to it like a couple of times. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. I think I only listened to it once actually.
Black Beatles though.
I like it.
Black Beatles is like, holy shit. That's a revelation right there. God damn.
I have seen God, and his name is Ray Sherman.
But Jake, have you seen any recent concerts?
No, the last concerts I've been to were at Pitchfork. However, I almost went to see Kanye West yesterday, and then was reminded of how bad of a decision it was to not see him when I was scrolling through all my Snapchat stories. All my friends who did go.
So yeah.
I
almost
went to see Kanye West. I got so close. And then
did he cancel the show?
Was robbed. Yeah, I was one of the 2 shows that he canceled. And like the funny thing is, me and like 8 of my friends had been planning to go for like months and months and months. And we scrolled back in like the chat we have going, talking about like buying tickets or whatever. And like one of the first things one of my friends said was like, or like right after we bought the tickets, my friend goes like, or he like was like showing us a text he sent his mom or whatever, and it was like, hey mom, like don't mind my credit card bill, I just bought like 8 tickets to a Kanye West show that's gonna get canceled and I can't go to the refund date. And then wouldn't you know what happens, he was joking.
It's his fault.
But yeah, I have seen a bunch of really good shows lately. I saw Car Seat Headrest like almost 3 weeks ago at this point, and the news here is that for his encore, instead, like, it was super late. I guess like the venue screwed up, or no, he got locked in the green room, and so he didn't go on until like 45 minutes too late. And so for his encore, he was like, "Hey, we're not gonna pretend to leave the stage or whatever. We're just gonna go ahead and play like an old song that we haven't played in a while right now." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then he starts playing fucking Beach Life and Death.
God,
and I start crying.
Boy.
See, like, I should be jealous of you because I should be
thing.
jealous. But like, he played Ivy for me at my show, and that got us a bunch of publicity. Shouts out.
Car Seat Headrest is just so good. If you haven't seen them this year, I'm sorry for you.
Like, yeah, definitely the most fun. Some of the most fun I've had. Like, because the Pitchfork show was just so much fun because we're all like moshing and shit, and it was just like,
yeah,
damn, this is a way to kick off a festival. And
I mean, this is a crazy thing. This is a crazy moment in my life. I heard all of Impossible Soul, all of Beach Life and Death, and then half of Alvin Rowe performed live this year.
Yeah,
I only need all my friends to complete the like greatest songs I have, greatest songs of all time performed live, and fucking everything Bruce Springsteen has. So it's been a good year for me. I saw Japanese Breakfast again recently. They're great. I mean, they're the best.
We need to get Michelle on the podcast. We gotta get her on the podcast.
We do.
Is she
after their
between
tour
dates? Or I think she's in between tour dates.
Not
right
yet.
Now, right?
No, they have a few more dates.
I thought I know they have some. I know they're going on a European tour, but I'm not sure if they've.
They're doing a solo tour, or they're doing a few solo dates.
Oh, okay.
In New York, Philadelphia, but yeah, I saw Porches too. Not as good as Japanese Breakfast, but really great show. Aaron's hysterical. I love him.
He's a beautiful man.
Who else did I see?
I think Aaron has the best.
I saw Real Estate last night. Yeah, I saw Danny Brown too, right before his album came out. It was lit. It was nuts in his home state of Michigan. It was crazy.
Oh, did he play Ain't It Funny?
No, I had no idea that song existed yet. But like, if I had heard that song, I would have been too much. Like the first time. We'll get to it in a little bit. But like, oh man.
If there's any song if there's any song that I want to listen to for the first time again this year, it's definitely that song.
Oh my god. And then I'm seeing Joyce Manor and the Hotelier on Sunday, so that's my
voice.
The Hotelier are playing in Minneapolis on Friday, and I can't go, and I'm bummed.
What? Oh.
Bummer.
Let's see.
This is my third time seeing them this year.
God damn. let's see, who am I seeing this? Let's see. I saw Angel Olsen. Did I talk about that on the last I didn't talk about it on the album commentary. Angel Olsen, fantastic live. It was a hometown show too. Yeah, she was great live. It wasn't like you couldn't really mosh, but it was just like, god damn, like she knows, like her band is fantastic, and it's just like, damn, I'm really emotional right now, but like I can't really show it that much. Like, damn. But yeah, it was a fun show. I enjoyed it. The opener was kind of like, the thing is, I was feeling really lightheaded like when I was at the show, and so like the opener was just kind of like boring me, and so I'm on my phone, that's making me even more lightheaded. So I was just like in a weird predicament. But yeah, it was good. Go see Angel Olsen live if you get the chance to. She's my woman's like top 5 this year, and also go watch our last episode where he talked about it and how it's just an amazing fucking album. How Angel Olsen's just like the best. And then I met her. I met her because she did a meet and greet, and I didn't get a picture with her, which I kind of regret. But I realized that, hey, I've been like on Twitter, I've been talking about wanting this girl to strangle me for like months now, and it'd just be kind of weird to get a picture with her. So I just got my record signed, and I made a shit post about Currents. So hey,
I have a signed poster from Japanese Breakfast hanging in my room right now too. Shout out. I mean, to the AOTY.
I mean, she obviously knows about the Jeremiah AJ circle jerk. Like, that's canon.
Yeah.
For the album, like she knows. I know. I mean, obviously, she knows who you guys are at this point because you've met her multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, we have to get her on the podcast, and it's just basically like I remember the tweet I made, and I still stand by this. Like, basically, it'd be like that SNL skit where Chris Farley interviews Paul McCartney. It basically just be like,
yes, literally,
you two doing that with Michelle's, and are like, hey man, or hey girl, remember how you made Everybody Wants to Love You? God damn, like, yeah,
that's such a good song.
Such a good song. But yeah, concert wise, I think I'm seeing Mitski in November.
Good show. Good show.
I need to listen to everything. I've only listened to Puberty 2, so I definitely need to give her older albums a shot. And then I don't know if there's anything in December that I want to see. I'm gonna check like local venues, but yeah, there's nothing that's really popped up besides like Mitski that I'm really interested in for shows I want to see, because a lot of all the big ones, like, they already popped up. Actually, hold up, I'm looking right now. Oh shit, you know who's coming to a venue near me? Fucking Bowling for Soup. God damn.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta see Bowling for Soup. But yeah, there's nothing really interesting popping up for me. But yeah, that's about it for concerts. I miss Pitchfork. I want to be back in Chicago. I want to have that again. Fucking goddamn.
Yeah.
Pitchfork the GOAT.
So yeah, let's get back to our news though. We have one last news item. So the White Stripes, they're getting on the anti-Trump train. They're selling Icky Trump T-shirts, and it's been a little bit since we've had this segment, but AJ, yeah, do we gotta stay?
It's time.
It's time to hashtag stay woke. All right.
It's time to hashtag stay woke.
All right. So
there are several issues I have with this news story. The first of which being that at this point it's not worth congratulating anyone to be outspoken against Trump at this point. This Icky Trump T-shirt sign thing is all very clearly just a marketing maneuver to try and get the White Stripes and Jack White to stay relevant when they're just cashing in on something that they probably didn't even think of, and the song that they wrote like over 10 years ago, where people are just like, oh, we can apply that to Trump because we don't like him, and they're going, oh, we're actually going to capitalize on that and like going to charge you to sell these T-shirts and make this and whatnot. But all of that just flies in the face of Jack White being the biggest head ass on the planet, who someone I don't like. And you might say, AJ, I thought you were from the state of Michigan. Like, Jack White is such a huge proponent of Detroit. Like, you have to love him. No, I don't. You see, what Jack White did was live here in Detroit, you know, make whatever he was doing for himself there. And then as soon as the White Stripes got relatively popular, what does Jack White do? He uproots everything he has and moves to Austin, Texas or Tennessee. He moved to Tennessee. My bad. Whatever. Texas, Tennessee, same states. You heard it here first. So he moves himself somewhere else, makes his huge fame, does all of his stuff, all the while going like, Detroit's really hard. Like, it's really hard living there. People just don't understand the things that everyone in Detroit goes through, whatever. Giving nothing back, giving absolutely nothing back. And so the White Stripes eventually fade. fade out of the mainstream. They have stopped making music. Jack White's solo albums are bad, and he goes, I need to be relevant again. What am I going to do? Oh, I know. I'll move back to Detroit and establish this like record pressing plant and make my own record label and like just show how much I love Detroit, outsourcing all of these jobs and bringing in all of these people from everywhere. And then the second I get an opportunity, I'm just going to make a bigger one of the same company somewhere else where I can make more money and don't have to live in Detroit anymore. So Jack White, you're a head ass. Fuck you. Stay woke.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I agree. I think the reason why they're hopping on the anti-Trump train, to give some context, is that Donald Trump has been playing like Seven Nation Army during like some of his rallies. So it does make sense for the context, but it's definitely just like, and also like even worse, like head assery. Like, so you might know on the subreddit Death Cab for Cutie, they dropped an anti-Trump song. And it's like a part of like this project that they're not doing, but like some other companies doing, you know. Or it's like
the 30 days on songs or whatever.
Oh.
By the way, AJ, you got so mad that your mic started glitching out. So.
Oh man.
Better fix that shit. So yeah, and
even my mic can't stay woke.
So yeah, basically, like, here's the thing. Like, hey, I agree, but at least for the Death Cab for Cutie song, we actually listened to it today at my college radio station meeting. It's fucking boring, you know. Like,
I think Sun Kill Moon is doing one, which I cannot wait to hear.
Ooh, see, that's the one I support because it's like Mark Kozlik, because Mark Kozlik is a crazy person, you know.
And you just know he's gonna go in.
He's like not trying to cash in on anything, you know. Like he's doing it for real.
Yeah, because he's genuine. That's why I mean Mark Kozlik. That's his best and his worst quality is that he's genuine. He just like as soon as he got famous from Benji, like as soon as like he had like a third or fourth wave of like fame from like Pitchfork giving it like a 9.2, he just goes ahead and alienates like that entire fucking audience within a year. It's wonderful.
He's overcompensated. he overcompensated for sure. He was like, shit, a bunch of like new male hipsters are listening to my music now. I better tell someone to suck my dick.
Tells the war on drugs to suck his cock. Then makes a song on his next album that's an anti male hipster. And then also proceeds to drop one of his most polarizing albums yet because he just continues the style on Benji, but just ups the ante of, hey, like, you can kind of tell him a bit, like, mentally unhinged on Benji. Oh, I'm just like, hey, I'm fucking crazy. All right.
Well, I don't even know if you've listened to, like, the newest album.
I haven't listened to the Jesse Sun Kill Moon. I haven't listened to that yet.
Yeah, well, he goes as far as to like read a fan letter and then shit on everyone who likes him because of the Pitchfork review, like just by name. He's like, "Fuck all the hipsters who found out about me because of Pitchfork." Like that's a verbatim quote by Mark Kozlik.
God damn, he has a new album coming out next year, I think, which I'm really excited about. It's a double album. Oh my god.
Yep, it's gonna be great. But he reads a fan letter of like someone asking him if they can get like a copy of Benji on vinyl, and then just like shits on them for collecting cardboard, basically.
God damn, Mark Kozlik, we love you. I think we were like one of the only places that like gave Universal Themes like a full on like real big praise, pretty much, because like even the positive stuff was still like reserved. Like like it's not, it's interesting, but we were like, damn, this is a great album. Like I don't know what y'all are on. Fucking Universal Themes. I had the hot take at the time that it was better than Benji, and I don't completely stand by it. But it's because I haven't listened to Benji or Universal Themes in full in a while.
You know what? Yeah, I haven't listened to Benji in full in like a long time.
I've been listening to some songs from it lately. Like I've been listening to Dogs, you know, Richard Ramirez. I woke up, or I watched the film. Thank you. And Ben's my friend, but I haven't listened to the full album in a little bit. But I need to get on that because I like Sun Kill Moon.
It gets name dropped on the new Tujimare record.
Oh shit.
He says, I can't listen to track 2 on Benji anymore because I can't live without my mother's love. A little indie fun fact.
Oof. All right, so yeah, that's about it on news. There was something about Beach Slang. They got rid of their guitarist. Because I brought that in the news because I know you're a fan of Beach Slang, AJ, but you don't want to talk about it.
I mean, we didn't really talk about the Swan stuff for the same reason. I mean, it's just shitty, but I'm glad they handled it really well. So I hope they keep making good music.
Hey. Basically. All right. So very quickly get into what we've been listening to this week. So I will start off and say I want to give. Oh God! See, I made like the silent bet to not talk about this artist prior to.
Oh, he did the damn thing.
Prior to not, to doing this podcast, and then we discussed this, and we're like, you know, hey, I'm not going to bring up this artist, but hey, you know what? I haven't been listening to that much this week, or really anything that's worthy of discussion. So I'm just going to bring it up. Babyfather, BBF, hosted by DJ Escrow. Re-listen to this because it's been a few months. It's a hard album to kind of digest, you know, because it's just so in your face with its concept. But hey, I listened to it again, and not only is it a great conceptual record, it's also a pretty good album too, musically. I still prefer Dean Blunt's, you know, I still prefer solo work where, you know, the more, you know, like, not as focused on concept, but I do hope, because I was like, okay, you know, BBF, it's kind of the culmination of everything. Hopefully, you know, he's kind of done with this project because there's nowhere he can go from here, but he's still dropping, like, random Babyfather songs, and I'm like, Dean, I love you. Do whatever the fuck you want. You made the Redeemer. You can do whatever you want from there, but I want, like, actual solo material, man. But hey, this is fine. There's some great tracks on here. You know, you have Motivation, which is great. You have Shook, which is great. You have Grease Block, also great. There's a lot of great songs here, and then conceptually, like, it's just really funny because I was rereading, like, an album discussion thread on Indieheads for it, and it was like, the humor of the album doesn't really reach its peak until, like, Prolific Daemons, where basically it's someone being a hype man over harsh noise. It's great, and I love it. And there's also just some, like, it's also kind of varied. Like, I think the best songs, production-wise, are the ones that Arca does production on. Like, Meditation's fantastic. Deep's absolutely amazing, because it's, like, the few times where the album actually has, like, professional-sounding production, like, stuff that actually has, like, high production values. But otherwise, it's a nice little, you know, it's definitely, besides The Life of Pablo, it's definitely the most interesting hip-hop release. Actually, no. We'll talk about it. We're gonna talk it's like the second or third, but we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, next up, Angel Olsen, Strange Cacti. So Angel Olsen, I got into her through My Woman. I kind of checked out, and also Burn Your Fire to No Win This, but I never really gave, like, the first albums a chance until, like, a couple weeks ago. But, you know, re-listened to Strange Cacti this week. God damn, that album is really fucking depressing, but god damn, is it great. There's just, like, the lyrics are so just, like, biting, you know. And there's the whole minimalist thing where it's, you know, it's just like, it's basically just her guitar and her voice, and she's able to, like, really carry the songs and really give them depth and meaning, and it's just, God, she's so incredible, guys. I love her so much. I love Angel Olsen. And speaking of Angel Olsen, we'll be announcing the winner of who won the My Woman CD a bit later on at the very end of this podcast, so stay tuned in for that. So that's all I gotta say. Jake, you're up to bat.
Yo. All right. So the first thing, I guess the only thing that I have on my list is I have both albums by the Hotelier, because that's kind of all I listen to anymore. Not even going to say an album, I'm just going to talk about them both. So basically what happened is, like, I'd never really listened to them before, but I, like, knew a bunch of people here were into them. Like, I think I listened to Goodness, like, once before Pitchfork, and I was like, oh, okay. But when I went and saw their set at Pitchfork, they kind of just, like, blew me out of the water. So I just decided to start listening to both their albums, and I don't know, they're just both great in totally different ways. I don't really know which one I like better, because they both have their pros and cons. Their first album is called Home Like No Place Is There. It's definitely a lot more visceral. There's, like, it's like emo, so there's, like, a lot of screaming. It's really punchy. Definitely something you'd expect to hear from a band, like, with emo tagged on them. And
it's a lot more, like, hardcore. It flirts with the hardcore genre a little bit.
For sure. Like, you have songs like I can't think of it. It's like
it's Among the Wildflowers and Discomfort Revisited.
Discomfort, yeah, they're like, yeah, super hardcore, basically. The lyrics are also really depressing. Like, I don't know if there's, like, a narrative or a concept on Home. I haven't looked into it, but a lot of the songs reference death and suicide, and maybe even, I don't know if, like, Christian Holden had, like, a close friend who died. He's, like, the singer-songwriter. But a lot of the songs, like Your Deep Rest, like, just sound like, you know, like one of his friends, like, killed himself, and he just
Home Like No Place Is There is all about just, like, all of the shit that happened in their hometown, and, like, with all the people they knew growing up and whatnot, and then Goodness is like all of the release of like moving on from that and learning to like see life positively again. So it's sort of like a sequel to it, but like he said he didn't want to revisit any of the same emotions, and that like all of the anger and like the negative stuff on Home is like not part of their music anymore, which is pretty cool.
For sure. Like he spends kind of like on Home, he just kind of spending the whole album just like being the shit out of himself. And then on Goodness, like sonically they're pretty similar. Like Goodness is a bit softer. There's like some acoustic parts here and there, but then there's like pretty much none on their last album, but it's still pretty recognizably like emo, I guess. But yeah, the lyrics and like Home is all like, you know, death and depression, and then Goodness you have like it's like zen and like love and poetry. I don't know. It gets like the lyrics are like kind of really abstract and at some points like not nearly as like immediate as they are in Home. But yeah, if I had to sum it up, I think I've said this in the chat before, but Home is like everything sucks and it's not okay. But Goodness is like everything sucks, but it is okay.
Yeah, basically.
And that's and that's all I have to say about that.
Cool.
Yeah, I've actually listened to the Hotelier probably like 5 times more than any other band in the last like 2 months. It's
well, speaking of bands we've listened to a lot more than any other bands in the past few months, keep the emo train rolling and talk about the new Joyce Manor record because it's really, really, really good. It's called Cody. They've fully embraced their My Chemical Romance and Blink-182 for hipsters shtick on this one, but it's perfect. It just works so well. I mean, like, Never Hungover Again, I've been listening to like every day since like this summer, basically, because it's 18 minutes long and it's just incredible. And then Cody's their longest album to date at a whopping 24 minutes.
Woo!
And it has not only their first song over 3 minutes, but their first song that's over 4 minutes long. And let me tell you what, Stairs, the 4-minute song, is so good. If you haven't heard it, it's about being 26 and living with your parents and being a piece of shit. But all the lyrics on Cody are really, really cool. They just all sort of like imagine these weird hypothetical situations that are just stereotypical and lame and cliche and like dumb, just teenage feelings bullshit, which is like Joyce Manor. You know what you're signing up for at this point. If you don't like Joyce Manor, this album's not going to win you over in any way. It's got the same like pop punk emo vibes, but they're pretty much iconic in the genre at this point. The singles, Fake ID and Last You Heard of Me, I mean, were super, super strong. And the album is incredible as a Joyce Manor fan. I love it. Matty, I think you kind of like this one.
Yeah, I've listened to it. I enjoyed Cody. I like the singles. I thought the singles were really good, and I listened to the album like once, like the other day. I definitely want to give it another shot because I'm finally warming up to pop punk a little bit now. I still think the majority of like the most popular stuff is like god awful. Because I see, and pop punk fans are probably some of the worst people in the entire world. If we're just, well, of like music fan bases, pop punk definitely is up there of like worst fan bases, just because they're so fucking annoying and they're very immature. But also, I'm really immature, but in the way that I want to be immature, okay, in the right way. But yeah, I actually enjoyed Cody. The song that I think I've got the most enjoyment out of probably was shit, hold on. Let me look at the track list real quickly because I just have to find it. Oh yeah, Make Me Dumb. I really like Make Me Dumb. It reminds me kind of like Will got a little stanced up in the chat because I said it reminded me of like Pinkerton. And I really dug that. But yeah, I definitely need to give another listen. Also need to listen to Never Hungover Again because like I just heard like a lot of good things about that album. So hey, you know, this is you guys
flames, dude.
If you've been watching the podcast from the very beginning, you're watching me grow up as a person. Well, not really grow up because I'm getting into pop punk now. So if anything, I'm kind of degressing as a person. But hey, I think literally the podcast is just watching like a majority of us slowly lose our minds and just
or in Jeremiah's case, just stay clinically insane.
Pretty much. I love Jeremiah, but that man is.
He's a wild man.
He's a wild card. Fucking. We were just talking. Did we already talk about the? Yeah, we already talked about this, but just the IRL podcast, where it's like, oh god, I really want to put that out because drunk Jeremiah. So Jeremiah got drunk off like 4 beers because he hadn't eaten anything. So it just all went. It just went straight to his body, And so Jeremiah was very drunk and obnoxious during the podcast, and it's like, God damn it, shut the fuck up, Jeremiah. But also, hey, this is really entertaining, and keep going, Jeremiah. And then just having him just certain things, like, I think when you weren't at the apartment yet, but like he was laughing in the room that Tom and I slept in, and he's just laughing at something, and I'm like, what the fuck is he laughing? And I'm hearing like weird noises from his laptop. He's watching a compilation of crocodile noises and just laughing his ass off. He's so strange. He's so strange, but I love him so much. But yeah, AJ, yeah, Cody is good. I'm excited. Speaking of pop punk, Jeff Rosenstock, very excited for his album to drop this week. Definitely very interested to see what he does because I enjoy the singles.
It's gonna be some good shit. Let me tell you what.
All right, now.
Yeah.
So
next up on the Emo Heads podcast.
Next up.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna have a mini discussion probably for this one because it's just gonna spiral out of control. A downward spiral, you might say. We're talking about that new Danny Brown, Atrocity Exhibition, the album that got surprise released 3 days early and almost gave me a damn heart attack.
Oh, God, fucking, I love this album.
So we just need to address the elephant in the room, and that this album has the song "Ain't It Funny" on it, which is just the most insane thing I've heard out of hip hop in a very, very long time. Honestly, since I like first got into Death Grips, I haven't been like this surprised.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I would say this is the most surprising song I've heard since when they released Inanimate Sensation. Like I've never just been like, what the fuck more than any like.
Oh God. Because I remember when
the beat
came out.
It's so crazy.
Because I remember when it came out, and like you guys had already gotten to it, and you were freaking out about like "Ain't It Funny" in the chat. And I'm like, okay, let's see. You know, I owe my first listen. You know, Lost. It's like, damn, Lost. This is really groovy. And then just like Static, like, shh, it's like, what the fuck is going on?
What the fuck? And
then he starts going in, and it's like, oh my God, like I'm just like freaking out. Like I'm in my bed. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna break my fucking laptop. This is gonna fall. Like my laptop is going to fall off my bed and break because this song is just like so insane. And it's so simple too. Like just like looking at the structure of it, it's like essentially it's just those distorted horns, a kick, like a simple like 2-beat kick drum, and it's just that, and then Danny just going absolutely wild. It's basically taking little and then just stretching it and just like trying to spread it out as much as possible into like this weird like this weird beast of a beat. And it's just like, and basically that's like the entire album is really just like Danny Brown playing with like traditional hip hop conditions, because there's no album like production wise, there's no album that sounds like this. Like this is like completely unique.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Danny Brown, like, one of my favorite things about Danny has always been that he's never, ever, like, been defeated by a beat or has ever I've never found a beat that Danny, like, couldn't just destroy. And that continues here, but like, he just, like, ups the game so much, and that just, like, it would have been fine for him to give us just, like, more standard Danny Brown fare, but nope, he doesn't settle and just comes out with, like, all of these limit-pushing, crazy beats that are just ridiculous. The instrumentals on this album are crazy because I do think Danny is sort of running out of things to talk about. His lyrical matter is starting to just get super like repetitive, and it's all entertaining and stuff, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's just talking about, I used to do drugs, I still do a lot of drugs, but like my life used to suck, I'm crazy, basically.
Yeah, I think this was his album that kind of, I hopefully, that there's any weak point on the album, it's definitely the subject matter and the lyrical content. It's not as good as it was on XXX or even, like Old, or at least the first half of Old. But still, I think the album is much more focused on sound. It's much more focused on creating this new sound, with the production and Danny just going in with some of his like best flows yet, and just like of course, and basically we're talking about Ain't It Funny, but like Ain't It Funny, it's not just Ain't It Funny. It's like the 1, 2, 3 punch of like Ain't It Funny, Gold Dust, and
even Lost is pretty like
Lost is great.
Wall.
But like if we're talking just like insane beats, it's like Ain't It Funny, the beat in there is insane. Gold Dust, it's also insane, and then like White Lines, which you've been pretty like a big fan of White Lines, right, AJ? Because I know you've been stumping.
I think it's actually my favorite song on the album. Like Ain't It Funny was like the shock value, just like what is this? But White Lines is where I think like the lyrics, the beat, Danny as an MC is all just perfectly realized.
Mm-hmm. And then just like when Dave Brown was talking about he spent like $70,000 on samples for the album, you really do hear it as the production. It just sounds great. The way he like has these samples in there, they sound so natural and not like they just feel like this is like, it reminds me heavily of like the way
don't do it.
Gonna do it. It reminds me of the way Dean Blunt sampled on The Redeemer, where he's able to take like these classic bands and just make them his own. And really, that's what it was with the samples. He just makes them his own, and that's like crazy. I mean, it's like, and also, you know, big shouts out like Paul White. I think he produced like a majority of the album. He produced like half the album. I don't even know the production credits on this. Let me go check the production credits because I have no idea like who produced what.
Paul White did a very good amount of it. Yeah.
So I'm gonna check the wiki because I've not even thought about checking the production credits yet. So hold up, let's see. So yeah, Paul White, he did produce Ain't It Funny. Of course he produced Ain't It Funny. Like of course. Yeah, he produced like majority of it because I know. Let's see, Rolling Stone was done by Petite Noir, who did also a great feature on there. Did a fantastic hook. We know Black Milk did Really Dough. Playa Hayes did Lost. Alchemist did White Lions, and Evian Christ did Pneumonia, which Pneumonia also pretty fantastic. And like when the singles came out, it was definitely like my least favorite single, but it sounds much better in the context of the album. Like it sounds way better in the context of the album.
Oh, all the singles here just like hit so much harder than they did as singles, just within all the context.
Mm-hmm. There's just so many like. I mean, I made the prediction that at the beginning of this year, or even like at the end of last year, that like Danny Brown is probably going to have the rap album of the year, like no matter what. Because the past 2 years, or really 3 years for me, have been just really disappointing, like in hip hop. And I'm not really sure if it's just because I've gotten out of hip hop and I'm not really as focused in it. You know, I've grown up a little bit, gone to different genres, so my taste of music, I have a bit more of a different worldview on music, considering just I've just got myself out there so much. But yeah, a lot of hip hop's just been disappointing me lately, and it's really nice to see Danny Brown like pushing the boundaries of like, hey, well, you guys are like doing this. I'm changing what hip hop can be, what it can be. Like I don't think I've been this excited for hip hop since like Death Grips, just because Death Grips, they really did bring something new to the table. They're really doing something unique, and really, because the one thing I really do hate about with people who go against Death Grips, or at least I hate when people say that Death Grips are not hip hop. I really fucking hate that, because you're just you guys want hip hop to be this respected genre, where it's pushing boundaries, and when you have these guys that are pushing the boundaries and who are really maybe not stretching, but yeah, they're stretching what hip hop can be for the better. It's really expanding the genre and really showing that, hey, you're not limited. Okay, you can do all these different things. And people go, oh, it's not hip-hop. It's just kind of like its own thing. And while I consider that also a compliment, it's like a backhanded compliment, It's like, yeah, they're doing their own thing, but it's like, hey, this is hip-hop, Like, I don't understand why people are so afraid to call Death Grips hip-hop, It's like MC Red, he's clearly rapping, Like, what is it? I don't know. But anyways, back to Danny Brown. This album's fucking amazing. But I will say, the weak spots again are Danny Brown's lyrical content, definitely kind of showing its strain. Hopefully, we'll see what happens on the next album. We'll see, if he kind of changes things up a little bit. But I think it's just because like now he's doing really good in his life. Like life wise, he's doing much better than he was 5 years ago, because he's got he's much more stable now. And I think I remember him saying that this album was sort of, I guess, kind of dealing with the the lyrical content is more of like kind of going back into the aftermath of like post XXX and kind of what his life kind of turned into. But another weak spot is definitely the last two songs of the album, Get High and Hell For It, which are not the best way to end the album, for me at least.
Hell For It's not a bad song at all. It's just like Danny Brown has a history of just incredible closers, and Hell For It just sort of ends the album on a meh note.
Yeah. And, Get High, it's kind of nice and hazy, but it definitely, it doesn't feel like this is the second to last song, It's like, oh, this is, it's like this song and then this song, that's it. Like Hell for It, basically, Hell for It, the beat of it reminds me like really heavily of like James Ferraro, and that's not really a compliment because I'm not really, you know, I love Dean Blood. James Ferraro is an associate of Dean Blood, but James Ferraro, he's just like too. He's more of, okay, like I really respect this as like as art. I really respect this, but as like something that's enjoyable to listen to, I do not get this at all. Because it's just it's like a kind of like more simple piano beat, and I guess, you know, as you were saying, Danny Brown set a really high standard for outros because, you know, 30 is, you know, possibly the best like album outro, or at least the best rap outro of the decade so far. And so, you know, you have this, and Hell for It, it's you know, it just kind of ends, you know, which I guess you know, in some ways you can kind of look at that metaphorically and be like, that's just how life is sometimes. It just kind of. Just life just goes on, you know. Sometimes there's just no big ending. It's just, you know, hey, and really that's the lyrical concept for the song. It's just like, hey, I'm gonna give him hell for, you know, this is just life goes on, you know. What can you do about it?
I'm actually like, I'm not super familiar with Danny Brown. Like I think I listened to XXX like once a long time ago, so I'm actually like. I'm kind of curious to listen to it now because from listening to this album, I just kind of interpreted it like lyrically as just kind of drug fueled chaos, and if this is like the come down from XXX, then
that's pretty much it.
Then I don't know.
It's basically Danny Brown is going. It's basically like him trying to deal with a mental breakdown, essentially.
Yeah.
Where his mental state on this album is completely deranged. And he's just going out and doing a bunch of drugs to just try to deal with it, you know. It's just
right.
And also, you know, it's also the first time where he abandoned the side A, side B concept that he had on XXX and Old. And so I guess, you know, in some ways this album's kind of, you know, which I think it's for the best that he abandoned the concept, because I think he would have, by this album, he would have definitely. There's just certain things with Danny Brown. I still think Danny Brown is a top 2 rapper out right now. But the next album is definitely like, you know, hey, I already think you're fucking amazing, one of the best albums, but, you know, lyrical content, we'll see how you are in the next album, because stuff's already started to show its strain a little bit. But yeah, there's not really much I can say other than, hey, this is the best rap. Even despite my complaints, this is still the best rap album of the year, just for like the first, you know, 13 tracks or so. Just like, hey, he is doing something like really different, and he's doing it fantastically. And you need to listen to this as a fan of hip hop. Like, you have to, like, listen to this, because this is the future, really, or at least, you know, because he, you know, in an interview he called it progressive hip hop, and I fully stand by his statement on that. Like, this is progressive, and I really appreciate that we have people like Danny Brown.
He's called it post something hip hop, post like punk hip hop, some crazy shit like that.
Well, it is Atrocity Exhibition, Joy Division.
Yeah, and there is like a Joy Division sample on there. It's pretty awesome.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the Joy Division sample is, because I'm looking at the sample credits right now, and it's not saying where the Joy Division sample is. Because I heard that the song like Atrocity Exhibition was actually sampled, but like most of it looks like it's.
Well, he does like the "This Is the Way," "Step Inside" on I think it's Gold Dust.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it's a lyrical sample. I don't know, but yeah, this is a fantastic album. Go listen to it. You know, it's definitely not a disappointment by any means. It's definitely like, hey, this is what I expected and more. Like, thank you, Danny Brown. Like, thank you so much for dropping like a great hip hop album, because like I finally kind of put together like an official top 10 this year, and I was like, oh. Like, even this album, like, doesn't even make it. It's only like number 6 on my list. You know, just because I've just been really disappointed by hip hop. You know, but I'm not really sure if it's just like hip hop has been bad, or it's just me. So I don't know.
I reckon we better get into our main topic there, eh?
Yep, I'll let you take over, AJ, for this one, because you are the Bon Iver expert.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about the old Bon Iver, indie darling, and
Poster child.
Well, not so much. I think.
I mean, maybe like 3 years ago, Poster child.
Yeah, I think he's sort of been replaced, and that's a bit what the
Former
album is about.
poster child indie
Former
darling.
poster child, yeah. But Bon Iver released a new record, sort of out of nowhere, but not really. We can talk about that in a little bit. 22 a Million, with some of the craziest song titles we've ever seen, featuring lots of numbers and a few emojis.
Wacky.
And yeah, he had hinted at it for a really long time. Sort of surprised announced it to be played at the Uclair Festival. Played the whole thing in full. Released some of the singles, and they had this crazy like fractured electronic thing going on. And the album, as it is in its final form, is definitely polarizing. Is how I think we should lead into this discussion.
Yes.
I came into this album as a huge Bon Iver fan, way back since the 4 Emma days, and then 2011's Bon Iver blew my mind. I like it way more than 4 Emma, and between those two, I got hugely obsessed with all of Justin Vernon's music. Even I'm talking like weird shit. You had to go digging through strange parts of the internet to find all of these field recordings, self-recordings, his bands Mount Vernon, D. Armand Edison, and Volcano Choir is pretty well known, but I mean I'm obsessed with their stuff too, and so I'm a bit of a Justin Vernon savant. And so one of the things that sort of bugged me was when this album came out, everyone was going, "This is such a huge stylistic shift. You know, Bon Iver's not acoustic folk anymore. He's going this like glitchy electronic."
Ooh.
And
We'll talk.
if you've been a fan of Justin Vernon's stuff, this isn't a surprising direction at all, and it's almost the expected direction, because I mean, Bon Iver had hints of this like lusher instrumentation, and then Reprieve with Volcano Choir had even more kind of leanings in this direction. I mean, he's been collaborating with Frank Ocean, with Kanye West, so he's dabbled in hip hop and electronically sparse music. And so 22 a Million, in my opinion, really doesn't sound like as much of a stylistic shift as it's been made out to be. But the other thing that bugs me is that we still have to harp on this narrative of Justin Vernon is the guy who went out to the cabin and he was dying and he recorded the breakup album. It's like, we get it. Everyone knows how For Emma Forever Ago was recorded. Everyone loves that record. I mean, it's a beloved indie record. We're all aware of who Bon Iver is, and you don't need to keep reminding us, because it perpetuates this notion that like, whoa, this album is so different. It's definitely different than all of the Bon Iver stuff we've heard in the past, but
it's not.
If you have only like
different, it's
if
not.
you've only listened to those like records like once or twice and been like, oh, Bon Iver, he's like the high pitched guitar guy. Sure, I could see how you'd be like, whoa, this is crazy. But if you're a fan of the band and the musician, you would know that this has been coming for a very long time. And so I guess we'll talk about how we went into this album, you gentlemen.
Okay, well, I'm
yeah.
kind of on the sorry.
No, yeah, Jake, you go for this one.
Yeah, so I'm kind of on the opposite end of the AJ spectrum, as I love both Bon Iver albums, but For Emma Forever Ago is like absolute one of my all-time favorites. Like, and I think a lot of it has like compared with Bon Iver. A lot of it just has to do with the fact that I'm just a sucker for like that narrative you were talking about earlier, like sad indie man goes into the woods and release, like, I don't know. But so I'm just super into like his really personal, raw, like visceral, punch you in the gut, stripped down, cold, like acoustic kind of atmosphere. And so just because of that, I guess like Bon Iver didn't impress me as much as For Emma Forever Ago, although I still like that album. And then I feel like with this album, still like it, but I feel like it's a step further in the like more abstract, less personal direction where I prefer Justin Vernon.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll talk about my origins going into this album. So going in, I'm not the biggest Bon Iver person. I don't hate him by any means, but I wasn't really, he's one of those guys that got praised by a lot of people, and I was like, he's okay. I don't, he's got some great songs, but otherwise, But when the singles came out for this album, when Over Soon and Death Breath came out, I was really impressed by Death Breath. So I thought 22 Over Soon, hey, this is pretty solid. I like this, but like Death Breath is like, oh shit, like this is my type. All right, this I can get into. And then 33 God came out, and I'm like, oh god, this album's gonna be great. Like I'm really gonna dig this. Like this could be his Age of Odds. You know, like, hey, this is, you know, like, you know, Oversoon is like the Futile Devices, you know, and Death Press is like the Too Much, where it's like, oh, this is what the album really is. Like, okay, I'm into this. But in reality, the album is just kind of like, I was just disappointed. It basically just kind of was like, oh, hey, this is supposed to be an album that got me into, that really, you know, converted me over to be a Bon Iver fan, and it didn't really do that to me. Just kind of like, oh, that's it.
So yeah, when I heard 22 Oversoon, I was like, oh shit, this is fucking excellent. I love 22 Oversoon, and Death Breath just continued, and I was like, if we keep going down this path, like, I really like these songs. 33 God, another excellent song, and then 8 Circle, which he like performed live and then released the live version of later. I was like, this is so, like, these songs are so good. And that's basically it on the album, though, is like those 4 songs. Everything else is kind of like a half-baked idea that starts, it builds up to where I'm like, this is going to be crazy, this is going to be good, and then just kind of stops, and like this whole album just feels super inconsequential. And I mean, it's 34 minutes, which isn't short, coming from someone whose favorite album of the year is 10 minutes shorter than that. But like for Bon Iver, all of these songs just feel like too empty. And I get that, like, the whole theme is sort of like, oh, it's puzzling, there's like Greek mythology references, there's all this symbology, iconography. I get what he's going for. It's just that it's not even esoteric in the sense where, like, something like Death Grips, we were talking about Danny Brown, like, their lyrics are esoteric, and you're like, what are they talking about? This is just messed up. This is insane. The Bon Iver record is just sort of like harping on something just for a little bit, starts, stops, and it's over. You forget about it. Like, when I listen to 22 A Million, I really like it. But when I'm not listening to it, I just kind of forget about it. That's the point I've gotten to this album. So I listened to it at first, and I was like, okay, it's good. And then I was like, wait, it's not. I don't know if I care for it. And then I was just like, okay, I mean, it's good. It's Bon Iver. He doesn't make bad music, but it's just like, I can't love this album. I don't think it's great, and I'm in a puzzling position with it.
I'm in like kind of the exact same way, where like I've definitely cooled down on it a lot since the first time I listened to it, and I think a lot of that has to do with like you were saying, like looking into the songwriting itself, and it's just being too abstract and like too nebulous. Like, I feel like he put so much effort into like making this unique 22 A Million sound, like just the breakbeat electronic beats, and so he focused so much on the production and just constructing an atmosphere and a soundscape that he kind of like didn't focus as much as he should have on the actual content in the songs.
See, I'm kind of on the opposite end, where I just feel like I'm with the AJ on the half-baked, but it basically feels like this album, it hints that he's going to make a big grand progression, because Death Breath is like, hey, this is really different. Like, it sounds like nothing he's ever done before. And it really hints at like, oh, hey, he's going to go like full electronic on this album. But basically after, 33 God, the album, it's just boring. He just doesn't go anywhere like after that song. It's just a lot of like boring, meandering songs that just do nothing for me. Like, they're not, like, this song is not bad. There's no bad song in this album. It's just, this could have been really, like, a really interesting album, but it's not. This feels like an album, like, I've thrown, like, a lot of different, like, insults to this album on Twitter, but the one I kind of feel like is the most truthful for me right now is that this album feels like it should have came out, like, 1 or 2 years, like, not even 2 years, honestly. It should have came out, like, a year or so after Bon Iver, you know? This feels like it's hinting it's hinting at a full-on progression, but it's like he's dipping his toes into, like, okay, I'm going to dip my toes into electronic a little bit, like, and then he like, it's like the water's too cold. He's like, oh, no, I'm just going to go back to making kind of more, like, minimalistic stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't want to do this. It's like, dude, Justin Bieber, like, fucking dive in that cold-ass water and, like, really make that big progression, you know? But
I agree completely. Because even before I heard it, just, like, listening to, like, Oversoon and Death Press, like, it was just way more intense on those 2 tracks than I thought it was going to be. And then on the actual album, there's still, he didn't completely abandon the acoustic guitar and his, like, full set of, like, 29 Stratford apartments probably could have been on the last record. Like, it wasn't as total of a dive in as I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing I do like on this album about the whole kind of, like, new quote unquote aesthetic that it's going for is there are, like, moments of intentional kind of, like, crackling and loss of fidelity, like in Apartments and in 45 sort of, and I think that's a really
Oversoon does it too. Yeah,
I'm not. I don't like that. I mean, here's the thing. Basically, like I think one of the things, it basically just feels like an old Bon Iver album, but just badly compressed. You know, it's just sort of like he's not making these grand progressions that like this album was hyped up to be. Like this album was hyped up to be like this really grand progression where he's really doing something new with his sound, but instead it's just, you know, pussyfooting around it, you know, and like all the compression and stuff is just like, dude, this is like. I don't want to be like, this is pretentious, but like looking at the track list and looking at the hype and just looking at all this shit leading up to it, it's like, I kind of have to call it sound pretentious. Like,
yeah,
it's just, dude, like, I know Justin Vernon is talented. I know he can make these grand progressions. Like, you listen to Death Press, you go, this guy could really do something new with his sound, but he just doesn't do it. You know, like 5 years. It took 5 years for you to make a bunch of like minimalist, like kind of folk, like glitch folk. That sounds like it was unfinished and badly compressed in like Adobe Audition or some shit. Like, I don't know.
And I feel like I'm kind of talking it down from the hype, and it seems like I dislike it more than I actually do, because like there's some really, really good songs and good moments on here, but I feel like just it was played up to be such a huge game-changing thing, and it like just wasn't. But as an album by itself, without like looking really at the context or its expectations, like it's a I would still say it's a good album.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad. I wouldn't say it's bad because it's like I don't hate it. It's not like Currents where I just hate listening to it, where it's like I hate this. It doesn't do anything interesting. And like I think AJ, you were talking about like some of these songs, they go nowhere. Like they think they have this interesting idea that like, oh, what's he gonna do, and they just does nothing with it. Like I think the most like notable example that I can think of is like 21 Moonwater. Like the ending of that is like where it starts like kind of like glitching out and whatnot. Like, ooh.
Well, that leads directly into 8. That's a bad example. I think for me the one that demonstrates that the most is Creeks, where it's like, okay, this is cool. Like he comes in, he sounds pissed off, he sounds upset. The instrumental's kind of haunting, and then like you just get that for about a minute and a half, and then it just craps out and it's gone. And it's just like that didn't do anything. Like I wanted that to. It doesn't have to like evolve into this huge complex instrumental movement, but I just wanted it to not sound exactly the same as it sounded in its first seconds. And that's sort of how the whole album is, in that it's just too short to make any impact, and it just is too all over the place to kind of say anything. It's just sort of an awkward, jumbled mess, basically.
Yeah. And
not in the like lovable Life of Pablo way where it's like, what was he thinking with this? Because Justin Vernon is notoriously a very well thought out guy and puts a lot of thought into the organization and structure of everything he does musically, his songs and his albums. And all of these are just like little glimpses of that genius, and just not enough to sustain a stan like me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I do want to go back though, because you were trying to say like it's not a good example. Here's the thing: I didn't get to finish, AJ. I didn't get to finish. You didn't let me finish. So yeah, so 21 Moonwater has.
It doesn't go anywhere, but it leads right into 8 Circle.
No, I was gonna say no. I didn't say I didn't get to finish because it has like this big like kind of glitch out. Like, oh, usually like my expectation is like, oh, it's gonna have like, you know, the beat's gonna switch up and it's gonna get like kind of insane again. But then it just transitions into 8 Circle, which is to me like badly compressed 80s movie soundtrack theme song. Like that's what it is to me, because I'm the contrarian who doesn't like 8 Circle. I just think it's a song that's like way too fucking long, and it's a badly compressed 80s movie soundtrack theme song. You know, it's like I didn't like, you know, for example, I think it reminds me a lot of like Beth Rest off the last album, and I don't like that song either because I think that it's just cheesy as fuck in like the worst way. And AJ, your mic's glitching out, by the way.
As far as 8 Circle goes, that's the emotional high point of the album, which is just like an even bigger negative for this album for me, because then you get 2 songs, you get like 5 minutes of the album after that, which is just kind of like pointless. 8 Circle is definitely like the emotional peak, and then there's almost 6 minutes of the album afterwards where it's just like, I hit the high on this album, man. Like I hit it 25 minutes into the, like, I just don't know. It's hard. It doesn't really resonate that much. And like, I get that it's an intensely personal record for Justin Vernon, but just, it doesn't do enough new musically. It doesn't carry that same emotional, just like consistent sense of overwhelming, just like resonance. It doesn't do anything is my biggest problem with this album.
Mm-hmm. It's just, yeah. I think we were talking about it before for the podcast. You know, we were shooting the shit, and I'm like, basically the album like it prematurely ejaculates around like 33 God, and then the rest of the album is like Justin Vernon like drifting off to sleep afterwards, pretty much.
Yeah, sure.
That's just what it is for me. I don't, because like, you know, it's like I want to like Bon Iver. It's like I really like, hey, this just there's potential in here. You listen to some of these songs, you know, they have these interesting ideas, but it's like 5 years for this. Like it took you 5 years to get your shit together to make this, you know, like really. At least, like, you know, like we were talking about The Life of Pablo. Yeah, that album is like complete chaos, but it's at least entertaining chaos, you know. Like it's entertaining. This is just chaos, but like it's basically like a small fire in like an office building. It's like a trash can fire where like The Life of Pablo is basically Kanye burning the building to the ground. Like this is just like, oh, someone accidentally like threw a lit cigarette into a trash can, and you know by the end of the album it's like basically around like 8th circle, you know, the fire's been extinguished. You know, it's like, oh, that could have been cool. Like that could have been pretty lit, but you know, okay, back to work. I just can't do it with this album. It's boring. I don't know. I've run out of words to say.
I mean, that's the thing. It shouldn't have been though. It should have been anything but boring. Like if it was off-putting and like hard to listen to, that would be another thing. But it's just boring, which is the most disappointing thing about it.
Yeah. People are gonna be mad. I know people are gonna be mad at this discussion.
Yeah.
They come in with the dicks out.
We picked the wrong 3 people for this podcast.
Yeah, because people.
I don't think anyone on the podcast like loves it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just, you know.
I think Jeremiah likes it.
Yeah, Jeremiah likes it, but I'm not sure if he loves it. You know.
I said the album was really front loaded in the chat, and it seemed to offend him. Yeah. So I don't know.
Just basically, here's the thing: Jeremiah's been like for like the past few months has been on like a big '80s music kick. You know, like big like on new wave and shit like that. So this album in some ways is like really up his alley. You know, where it's like kind of these, you know, this kind of these '80s inspired stuff. So I don't know. I don't have anything more to say. It's just this album is. I do hope that Bon Iver, at least I really hope that we don't have to wait like another 5 years for a Bon Iver album. You know, like I don't want to wait 5 years for you to, you know, to make, you know, the next step in the progression. Like when you waited this long to release an album, when you've been working on this for so long, you know, you should have climbed up the entire staircase, but instead you just made like one step, you know, or like Justin Vernon's like an old man, and like, you know, he can't walk real good. So he has to get like in that little like that chair thing with the stairs or whatever, basically like the escalator, and it's like he's getting ready to go up, and like it's like 22 over soon, 10 death breaths, you know, 33 God, like oh he's going up the stairs, and then like the thing malfunctions and he stops, and instead of like calling for help, you know, he's kind of like I don't mind this, I'll stay up here, this is kind of relaxing, this seat's kind of comfortable, what are you gonna do? But yeah. Boo.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I guess
more like Bon Iver.
Ooh. There you go. More like Justin Vernon. More like, dude, you're balding. You need to give up on your hair already, man. Like
more like just stop.
Have you seen Justin Vernon's
like
hairline?
Justin Boring.
Yeah.
That whose man's is this? Get a haircut, bro. Like
someone once told me I look like Justin Vernon just with more hair.
God,
I have a beard.
I saw like I know the Indieheads, we hate the roast threads in there, but like I saw a photo of his hairline and I'm like, oh my God, like dude, please, like you gotta do something with that hair.
There are no barbershops deep in the woods of Eau Claire.
That is true. Oh God, hold on. I want to find this picture of his hair real quick.
Just make it the podcast like.
Yeah.
Can I make it the thumbnail? I'll make it the thumbnail for the album discussion. Hold on, I want to see this. Oh my God, it's bad. I'm looking at this picture. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'm like zoomed up into it. It's so bad. Oh
it's bad, but I like respect the fact that he does it. respect it. He owns it.
Just shave your head. He wouldn't be bad with a shaved head, you know? Like he'd rock it. Just Jake, look at this shit. You can't tell me that.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Oh,
he
God.
owns it.
God, this album is so boring that we're just talking about Justin Vernon's hairline just because at least that's interesting, unlike the second half of the album. All right, so yeah, there's not much we could talk about. All right, hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. We have one last thing we want to talk about. So, of course, a couple weeks ago, we announced our Cymbal contest that we'd be giving away a CD copy of Angel Olsen's My Woman, along with some Cymbal merch and some download codes, and I'm here to announce the winners right about now. So in third place, in the winner of 2 download codes of your choosing of what I have available from my Pitchfork stock is user Sunflower, which also, funny enough, when I put his name in the randomizer, it was like, oh, this is the first guy, like this is the last guy on my list, like this is the first entry into the contest, pretty much. So congratulations, Sunflower. Second place, we have the Ryan Kearns. Congratulations, you win a download code of My Woman and another download code of your choosing. And in first place, and the winner of the My Woman CD and some Cymbal merch, Alex Minassian. So, congratulations. You guys will be, let you guys know, pretty much as soon as this episode goes up, you guys will be known that you won the contest, and we'll get your guys' info to, send your shit. So, congratulations.
Yeah, I might have some download codes from Pitchfork also.
Hey.
I don't think I gave them away yet. But it's like the age of odds and yeast, so it's not like anyone who listens to this hasn't already heard those.
True.
And if you haven't, you're a nerd and I'll end ya.
Well, yeast actually is not on Spotify, and Cymbal is very dependent on Spotify. So actually, you may want to pass me that yeast code because I'm most likely
the greatest.
Because I'm most likely gonna put like a thing at the beginning of the episode. Actually, no. Because it's like the contest, it's over. It's been over for like a week now. So, but yeah, congratulations to all the people who won the shit. You guys will be known ASAP. Also, shouts out to Cymbal for working with us on this contest because you guys didn't really have to, but shouts out to Cymbal. You guys are real cool. But yeah, that's the end of the podcast. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully, you're not mad at us for not liking Bon Iver. Okay, hopefully we explained ourselves enough. We dug a hole and we got ourselves out of it, okay? Hopefully we've done that. But new podcast, there's not much really going on in the indie world in terms of discussion. So I don't know what the next episode's going to be. It's either going to be a Billboard discussion or an album catch-up. Because there's been a lot of stuff that we want to talk about briefly that we can't really do a full discussion for. So yeah, don't have any expectations. And most likely the next podcast, I don't know what's going to be out. 2 weeks probably is your best bet once again, but hey, who knows? So yeah, we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.